Hello everyone. I hope that you're studying very well. You're preparing for examination and written examination for all the subjects. Now I will have some discussion on income, problem on income from business. I posted the problem in the group. Right. And this is the problem related to the previous year question papers. And from the profit and loss account of Durga Mills, compute income from business for the assessment year 18-19. We convert into assessment year 21-22. Now it's given the particulars, expenses side and on the credit side, income side. Now we'll deal one by one. So the first one is, now first you check net profit. Net profit as per profit and loss account, it is given as per the problem. The first procedure is you take the net profit. It is 44,000 given in the problem. Now there are 4 steps. First step, add inadmissible expenses or non-business expenses which are already debited to P&L account. So therefore, you have to see the expenses side of P&L account along with other information. You see what are those expenses that is not related to business, or it is called non-business expenses which are debited to P&L account. Or we can say those expenses are inadmissible expenses or non-business expenses. The first is given salaries. Salaries is the admissible expenses, but see the other information given in the big A. Salary includes 6,000 paid to workers employed at home. So that is not allowed because you're paying salaries personally. You are employed personal workers at home. You're paying salaries including here because the purpose is to reduce the tax. But the income tax, according to income tax computation, it should not include the salaries paid to workers employed at home. That is a non-business expenses. So we are including here, we are adding here, adding to net profit. How much it is? 6,000 rupees. The second, we cover about office expenses. You see the additional information or adjustment, nothing is mentioned. Office expenses, it generally is a business expenses. We are ignoring here because it cannot include here. We should include only non-business expenses. Next one is depreciation. Depreciation is an allowed expenses, but in the adjustment, there is no such depreciation given the problem. In the other information, there is no such depreciation given the problem. So therefore, the depreciation given in expenses side is admissible expenses. We don't include here. We have to include non-admissible expenses or inadmissible expenses. Now, legal expense, sales tax. Sales tax is a business expenses. We are not including here. The legal expenses, you see the other information. Legal expenses includes 1,000 rupees paid to advocate in connection with personal case. So we're including, we are writing here legal expenses paid to advocate in connection with personal care. This is a personal expenses. It is related to person. So you cannot club with the business expenses including here. So that is non-business expenses. Next is income tax. We included income tax. Income tax is a non-business expenses. You pay income tax on profit of the business. So it is not a business expenses. Next, we go for the patents purchase. The patents purchase is an intangible assets. You are purchasing any intangible assets or any fixed assets. Those assets you purchase, that is called capitalization expenditure. Capitalized expenditure. So all capitalized expenditure should not. You cannot take as a business expenses because these are capitalized expenses. So therefore, we are not allowing patents purchase as a business expenses because you can claim depreciation in the step 3. Here you can claim depreciation in the step 3. Okay, so what depreciation intangible assets like know-how, patents, copyright, trademark, licenses, franchises, 25%. You have to calculate 25% depreciation on 12,000. So we are disallowing patents purchase or any property purchased or any intangible assets purchased or any fixed assets purchased. We cannot treat as business expenditure, but you can claim depreciation on those assets. Next, donation. Donation cannot be taken as business expenses. It is a non-business expenses. Okay, we are including here. We are writing here. Next, repairs. It is a business expenses. Next, provision for bad debts. Any provision, any fund, any provision, you cannot take as a business expenses. The provision for bad debts cannot be taken as business expenses. Here I am writing here. Next, general expenses. Now you see the other information. General expenses include 4,000 as a contribution to staff welfare fund. So we don't allow any fund. We don't treat any fund as a business expenses. So we are writing here general expenses, but a part of expenses, that is 4,000, it is contributed to staff welfare fund. Any staff welfare fund is disallowed. You can contribute to staff welfare expenses, not the fund. Fund is an amount we keep separately for the future purpose. So we cannot treat as a business expenses. So all these, the first step, these are the first step, those expenses which are debited, but those expenses are not related to business. Okay, that is called non-business expenses. We have added the first step. The second step, you have to add those income which are not created in P&L account, or you can say unrecorded income. Nothing is there in the problem. Nothing is mentioned about unrecorded income. So we are taken as nil. This is step 2. Step 1, we are taken expenses debited in P&L account, but they are not concerned with the business. Step 2, income which are not recorded in the P&L account. That nothing is there. Step 3, those expenses which are related to business, but which are not debited into P&L account. As we're taking depreciation on patents, 25% on 12,000, it comes to 3,000. And the last step, there are some income, but does not come under business head. It comes to other heads. So income of other heads credited to P&L account, or we say non-business income. Step 4. What is the non-business income? The first is bad debts recovered. Actually, bad debts recovered is a business income, but in the adjustment it is mentioned, out of the bad debts recovered, only 4,000 were allowed as deduction. That means earlier they had allowed 4,000 out of 10,000. That means remaining is not allowed. Remaining is 6,000, 10,000 and 4,000. The 6,000 is non-business income. Okay. Out of 10,000, 6,000 is non-business income, 4,000 is business income. We have to take non-business income, or which income which fall under other heads of income, like income from other sources or income house property. Okay, next. Dividend. As you know, dividend comes from income from other sources. It doesn't fall under business income. Next, rent of house property. It falls under income from house property. It doesn't fall under business income. Next is brokerage. Brokerage also doesn't fall under business income because it is a mill. It's a Durga Mills. Okay, those Durga Mills will concentrate on those businesses, and they're not in the, that is a stock market business, or they are not in the commission business. They are not the brokers. They are not stock exchange dealers. So we are not allowing as a business income. We are allowing as a, we're including here non-business income. So these are non-business income. Okay, so you will get a final value income from business 48,000. So in the profit from business, income from business, there are 4 steps. First, take the net profit given in the problem, or you can take net loss if it is given the problem. Add is getting net profit is given. Add the first step, non-business expenses. The second step, add business income which are not entered in P&L account. Second step. The third step, subtract those business expenses which are not debited to P&L account. And the fourth step, subtract income of other heads of income credited to P&L account. That means non-business income credited to P&L account. You have to subtract 4 steps. Add, subtract. The final is you get income from business. If you start from net loss, add becomes minus, and less becomes add. Add becomes less becomes add. You will get the final value income from business. And remember, you have to remember the depreciation on intangible assets is always 25% is a fixed rate. Okay. And even it is not mentioned in the problem, you have to calculate depreciation. Remember, it is not mentioned in the problem, it is calculate depreciation. You have to remember rates of depreciation. You have to, I have given posted the table in the WhatsApp group. For example, if it is a non-residential building, you have to calculate 10%. Okay. Suppose if the furniture fittings, electric fittings, any fittings, you have to calculate 10%. Suppose a motor car or plant and machinery used for business, you have to calculate 15%. Right. Suppose if it's a life-saving medical equipment, you have to calculate 40%. Right. So you have to remember some important depreciation rates given in the table. Suppose if it is computer, you have to calculate 40% rate of depreciation. And suppose it's intangible assets like know-how, patents, copyright, trademark, license, franchise, or any commercial rights, you have to calculate 25% rate of depreciation. Sometimes the problem, they may not specify the rate of depreciation. They may mention the name of the property, the fixed assets or intangible assets, or tangible assets or intangible assets. Based upon then, you have to remember, this is intangible assets, you have to calculate 25% depreciation on intangible assets. And they're not mentioning specifically in the problem. So don't forget to calculate depreciation. And please by heart the depreciation rates given in the table, important depreciation rates, like depreciation of surgical equipment, like on building, like on plant and machinery, like on motor car, like on air condition, like on aircraft, aero engines, and on computers, and on life-saving medical equipment, on books. Books again 40% depreciation rate. Books or books, or professional books or any annual publication books. It is given 40%. So you should remember this depreciations. I hope you understood the problem. I post the YouTube video in the WhatsApp group. I posted the problem and the solution how to compute income from business. Okay, so thanks a lot for hearing my video. Please, all the videos posted, please go through that. Right. Thanks a lot.